Hi students, today we are going to continue our discussion about the last part 1 discussion that what we are talking about. In the last session we were talking about from 118 elements, if you choose one element, some certain element, some element x. Okay, if you choose one element x, some element, it is going to bond with some elements from 117 elements. It is going to bond with some elements. And from that remaining 117 elements, it is not going to bond. It's not bonds with certain elements. Not going to bond with certain elements. That is what we were talking in the last session. Okay, select any element. That element is going to bond with certain elements from remaining 117 elements. The same element is not going to bond with certain elements. Now today we are going to discuss about what is the reason behind to have a bond with some elements and to not to have a bond with some elements. That is what is the agenda of today's class. Okay, so today in our physical science, in the chapter number 8, chemical bonding lesson, so we are going to talk about part 2, that is a continuation of the previous topic. Okay, I hope you have watched that first beginning part 1, so that it will be no confusion for you to understand in this part 2. Okay, those who didn't watch this part 1, just watch this part 1, and I suggest you to visit or watch this part 2, so that you have a very good understanding about this part 2. Okay, now if you continue our discussion see what is the reason scientists were working on this to explain the reason for not having a bond and not to having a bond with the certain elements, if any element is selected from that. Now by the late 90th century or by the early 20th century, scientists knew about three type of attraction forces. That is a gravitational force, or a magnetic force, and electrostatic force. Gravitational force and electrostatic force. This is what their vision by the 19th century and by the late 19th century and by the earlier of 20th century. So they thought that, okay, and at that time, the 20th century, they found that atom in the spherical shape. By the early of the 20th time, atom in the spherical shape, and there is a center called nucleus, and protons, the positive charged particles. Protons were placed at the nucleus. That is what we discussed in 6th chapter. The protons were the positive charged particles were placed at the nucleus, and the electrons are revolving around the nucleus. Electrons are revolving around the nucleus. That means by the 20th century, earlier the century, scientists knew about the existence of protons, that is positive charged particles, and the existence of electrons, the negative charged particles in the atoms. Okay, by keeping this all in the mind, okay, knowing about the gravitational force, magnetic force, and electrostatic force, and knowing about keeping in mind the atoms of the elements consist of positive charged particles at the nucleus and the negative charged particles called as electrons revolving around the nucleus. They were thinking about one conclusion, is that whenever the elements of two the atoms of two elements So whenever the atoms of two elements, let us say some x, some x is one element. For example, I am talking about what is the value of what is the example of that x we are going to discuss in detail later. Okay, suppose assume that there is an element x and there is an atom of this is the atom of the element x, and it has some positive charge particles in this nucleus. Now let us take an element y. And this is the atom of element y, and there are some electrons. So as per the Bohr atomic structure, if you talk about there are electrons are revolving in it. Okay, for example, I am talking about. For example, not concerned about what are that exactly x and y. Just I am taking the values and I want to make you to understand that. Okay. Now what is going to happen whenever the atoms of two elements are close to each other, whenever the atoms of two different elements or two elements are close to each other, scientists were thinking about, at the time of the earlier days, scientists were thinking about, as the protons have positive charge, they are going to attract the electrons, the outermost shell electrons, they are going to attract the outermost shell electrons of the other atom, and the atom of y element is going to attract the outermost particles of the x element. Okay, positive charge particles of one atom are going to attract the negative charge particles of another element. The positive charge of this another element is going to attract the negative charge particle of the first element. Okay, and this is one attraction we have. One case, see, one possibility is that attraction. So one possibility is that attraction between protons of one element to the electrons of the other element. Protons of one atom to the protons of this atom to the electrons of this atom, protons of this atom to the electrons of this atom. There exists an attraction force. There is a possibility of existence of attraction force. Okay, and one more force also, because unlike poles attract each other. As per the law, we know that unlike poles attract each other, and there is one more force exists here, or force of repulsion. There might be a chance of repulsion also. Where is that? See, as the the electrons of one atom is going to repel the electron of other atom, or the proton of one atom is going to repel the proton of other atom. There is a chance of that also. Okay, as there exists a chance of attraction of this atom, this proton by these electrons. Okay, this proton, there is a chance of attracting this electron. This proton is a chance of attracting this electron to exist a bond. Simultaneously, there is a chance of repulsion also. Repulsion between a proton of one atom is going to repulsion between proton and proton, or electron and electron. Fine, there is a chance of repulsion. We have two possibilities. Attraction by one proton to the protons of one atom by the electrons of another atom, protons of one atom to the electrons of the other atom. There exists an attraction force. There is a chance of existence of attraction force. Simultaneously, there is a chance of existence of repulsive force also, or repulsion force also. Okay, the proton of this can repel this one, the proton of this can repel this one, the electron of this atom can repel this one, the electron of this can repel this one, being that they are like charges. Okay, and they concluded a statement based on the possibility of attraction force by the two atoms and the repulsion force by the two atoms. Scientists at the earlier days concluded that if the attraction force between the two atoms, of different elements is more than the repulsion, Okay, if attraction force is more, what they concluded, see at that time what they concluded is, if attraction force is more, see if the attraction force is more, if the attraction force is more than repulsion, okay, if the attraction force is more than the repulsion force, then the atoms of two elements bond together. They bond together and they will form a compound or a molecule. Okay, and again the parallel, there is one more chance, one more possibility exists. If the repulsion force is more than the attraction force, if the repulsion force is more than the attraction force, then the atoms of these two elements will not bond. Is what the explanation given by the scientists at the earlier of the 20th century. Fine. And whenever the two atoms are very close to each other, there is a possibility of two type of forces. One is the attraction force between the proton and electron. There exists a chance of the repulsion force between the proton and electron. If the force of attraction is more than the repulsion force, they bond together. The atoms of the two elements bond together to form a compound. If the repulsion force is more than the attraction force, they will not have the bond. Okay, this was the conclusion. This was the conclusion given by the scientists at the earlier of the 20th century. So that the belief of that scientists made, and one more conclusion they concluded is, among the gravitational force and the magnetic force, the electrostatic force, due to the different possibility of different elements, different protons and electrons in the two different atoms, and the electrostatic force due to the existence of protons and electrons in the atoms, they believe that the electrostatic force is responsible for making the bond between two atoms of different elements. That is what they believe. And if you write more precise, one more thing they said that the attraction force is going to be, if there is attraction force exists between the two atoms, the proton is going to attract the electrons of the outermost shell only. The proton of this is going to attract the outermost shell, the electrons in the outermost shell of this one, whereas the innermost shell electrons are not going to be affected. Only the outermost shell electrons are going to be affected, was the conclusion given by them. Okay, for example, if I discuss about the example, this is not a very typical topic. It's a very easy and very important understanding about this. Concentrate here, all of you. Now, if I take in place of X, I am going to take the sodium. Sodium atomic number 11. If I write the configuration as per the Bohr atomic structure, I am going to write the configuration of that. Bohr atomic structure: K shell 2 electrons, L shell 8 electrons, M shell 1 electron. K shell 2 electrons, L shell 8 electrons, M shell only 1 electron is possible because being the sodium atomic number is 11. Now Y element, if I take the chlorine, that is 17. It is K shell 2 electrons, L shell 8 electrons, M shell we can have 7 electrons here. We can have 7 electrons here. Concentrate here, concentrate. It's just an example I am taking. It's not exactly what I mean to have. See how the sodium and chlorine is going to be bonded due to the valency bond theory. That is electronic theory of valency, which is being suggested by the Lewis and Lewis dot structure, that we are going to discuss in detail later. But to have a glance idea of what is meant by the innermost shell electrons are not affected, that is what I want to explain. Okay. So to have that protons, there are 11 protons here, where in the first shell I have 2 electrons, in the second shell I have 8 electrons, In the third shell, I have only one electron for this sodium. In the same way, I have 17 protons here, 2 electrons here, 8 electrons in the second shell. And the third shell, there are 7 electrons. Now, if there exists a, suppose if there exists a bond between or attraction force between the atom of this proton of this to the electrons of this one, so chlorine, if the proton of sodium is attracting the electrons of chlorine, or if the proton of chlorine is attracting the electrons of sodium, the innermost, where the outermost shell, if this is attracting, this outermost shell electron is getting affected. If this is attracting, only the outermost shell electrons are going affected. Whereas the innermost shell electrons, there is no effect on the innermost shell electrons. There is no change or no effect by this attraction force, by rather from this way or that way in the innermost shell. Innermost shell electrons are not get affected. Was the conclusion given by the scientists at the earlier time. Okay, this was the belief. I hope you understood this. And moreover, they concluded that the valence shell electrons, that is nothing but the electrons which are present in the outermost shell. For example, the electrons present in the outermost shell, the valence electrons is 1 here for the sodium. The valence electrons are 7. The electrons which are present in the outermost shell, there are 7. 7 are called as valence shell electrons. The electrons which are present in the outermost shell are responsible for having the bond between the two atoms of elements was the conclusion given by the scientists at the earlier time. Okay, to elaborate this understanding of the scientists, okay, Lewis has been proposed a dot structure to make it even simpler and to make it even expanded to enhance the understanding about the existence of bond between the atoms of two elements. Okay, Lewis has proposed a dot structure or electron dot structure we call as Lewis dot structure, or Lewis dot symbols or Lewis symbols we call as. He proposed this concept of Lewis dot structure or electronic dot structure, where with the help of this Lewis dot structure, he made simple. He want to make the understanding of attraction or repulsion even a simple manner. How would that electron dot structure is going to help us to understand about the chemical bonding between the two elements? That is what we discuss now. So, while going in the deep discussion, we are going to talk about what is the Lewis dot structure or electronic dot structure or Lewis structure. We are going to talk today. Lewis symbol. Lewis structure or Lewis dot structure or Lewis symbols or electronic dot structure. So what is this Lewis dot structure and how it is going to help us to understand the chemical bonding concepts in more precise or in more accurate manner? Okay. So Lewis proposed that whenever we are going to write whenever we are going to explain about the formation of bond between the two atoms with respect to the innermost shell electrons, we have to represent that notation in a simpler manner. Okay, we use this structure. How could it be possible? For example, I am going to talk about suppose sodium, the same one I am going to take. Atomic structure, atomic number is 11 for the sodium. Now what I am going to do, I will write the electron configuration according to the Bohr atomic structure. Okay, that means in K shell I have 2 electrons. In L shell can handle 8 electrons, and M shell can handle 1 electron. So M shell can handle more electrons, but as we have 1 left after 10, we are going to write that M shell is 1 electron for the sodium. So if you say what is the outermost shell? Very good. M is the outermost shell. Okay, how many? So valence electrons, the electrons which are present in the outermost shell are called as valence electron. If I talk about valence electron, that is 1. Valence electrons is 1. Now what I am going to do, if I write proper notation, okay, there are 11 protons as it contains 11 protons. In first shell, A shell, I have 2 electrons. In second shell, I have 8 electrons. 8 electrons. In the third shell, I have 1 electron. This is the proper, this is the actual notation of that. So Lewis, what he made, apart from the outermost shell electron, or rather than the outermost shell electron, along with the nucleus and the innermost shell electron, he considered, okay, as kernel. He considered it as a kernel, and he represented the kernel with the name of, or the symbol of that particular element. Okay. The nucleus of a respective element and the innermost shell electrons all together, he considered it as the kernel of the atom, and the kernel of the atom is represented with the symbol of the respective atom. So here Na is a kernel where all that consists of, the kernel represents the protons which are present in the nucleus, and 2 electrons in the K shell, and 8 electrons in the L shell. And as 1 electron is remain or left here in the outermost shell, he placed 1 dot on this, 1 dot on the top of the name of this symbol of the sodium. Okay, this is the Lewis dot structure. Okay, for example, if I write one more, so you can understand even more better. For example, now for example, if I write, suppose chlorine 17. So if I write, suppose 2, 8 and 7. So in the valence electrons are 7. The number of electrons which are present in the outermost shell are 7. Now what I am going to do, so that 17 protons, 2, and this is 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 electrons are there. 7 electrons are there in the outermost shell. So chlorine 17. If I take chlorine 17, so 1, 2, 3, 4, single dots you have to keep first, then afterwards you have to pair. Okay. Now 5, 6, 7. This is the Lewis dot structure of. The chlorine, where the innermost particles, that is 2 electrons in the K shell, 8 electrons in the L shell, and along with the nucleus of the chlorine, all together are taken as the symbol of that and considering it as the kernel of the chlorine, and the outermost shell electrons are represented in the dot format, around the symbol of this chlorine, considering this as a kernel. Okay. And in some cases, in place of dots, we are going to write the cross marks. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. See, not necessary that the top one should be the one single one. It can be like this also, or it can be like this also, depending on the requirement. The arrangement of the dots around the kernel we are going to change. How that happens we'll discuss in the further session. I hope you understood, right? For example, I want to know the electron configuration of Lewis dot structure for the argon, for example. Okay, argon, that is 18, 288, outermost shell electrons are 8, valence electrons are 8. So 8 electrons are present here, and if I write the argon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is the Lewis dot structure of the argon. Fine. If you go to page number, all of you, if you go to page number according to the textbook, page number 153, see there exists the Lewis dot structure of atoms of noble gases. Noble gases is been given here. This one is the table where it is showing that electron configuration of argon, Okay, sorry, helium, the configuration of helium is been given. Helium, that is electron number 2, 2 atoms are there in the K shell. So 2 electrons are there, 2 electrons has been written. Neon, 8 electrons are there in the outermost shell, 8 one, argon, 8 electrons are there. And krypton, xenon, all or radon, these all are the noble gases, where the outermost shell electrons in that all noble gases are 8 electrons. So they are represented here as 8 electrons placed on the symbol of and the kernel of each and every element. Is it okay? Now, as an activity, what we are going to discuss is activity 1. We are going to talk about the filling of the table, group number that we have discussed from the we can take the help of our classification of element, the periodic table. So we will talk about what to write in the table 2 and all in our next part 2. I hope you understood this. So the simple thing is the explanation of the existence of bond between if you select one element to have a bond between the other elements, if the attraction force of the protons and the electrons is more, it will repel. If the repulsion, it will have a bond. If the repulsion between proton and electron by the atom is more than the attraction force, that element will not have a bond between that element. Okay, that is what the initial understanding about the existence of chemical bond. Later on that understanding has elaborated. The understanding has very good explanation or extension of that understanding by different theories. That is what we are going to discuss in our discussion in the next classes. In the next class, we are going to talk about. So first we are going to talk about ETV. ETV is not that ETV. That is not ETV. ETV, that is nothing but electronic theory of valency. Okay, electronic theory of valency or valence. Okay, we have that one. Okay, Westphal theory. We have Westphal theory. It is valence shell electron pair repulsion theory. Valence shell electron pair repulsion theory. Okay. Valence shell electron pair repulsion theory. Valence shell electron repulsion theory and VVT. VVT, that is valence bond theory. These are the three theories. ETV, that is electronic theory of valency, okay, and Westphal theory, valence shell electron pair repulsion theory, and VBT, valence bond theory. These are the three theories which has been proposed by the scientists to explain about the existence of bond between the atoms of two different elements. Okay, here in ETV we have two types of bonds. We have the ionic bond and we have covalent bond. We have two types of bonds, ionic bond and covalent bond. So tomorrow we discuss about, that is nothing but in the next session we are talking about what is ETV, electronic theory of valency, and when the ionic bond is going to exist, and when there is a formation of, when there is a possibility of formation of covalent bond. That is what we are talking in the next session. To enhance the understanding of the existence of bond between the two atoms as attraction or repulsion, these three theories has been introduced or explained by the scientist. Okay, and each and every theory has its benchmark or has its its own own properties, our own benchmark to explain about the existence of bond between two or more atoms. Okay, what is that? We'll discuss in the next session. I hope you understood this session. Thank you. Keep smiling. Have a nice day.